Hi, Noah and Greta here.
In this video, we're going to be multiplying fractions.
All right, if we're going to learn how to multiply fractions, we're going to start with a simple example and use that to come up with a basic rule that we'll use throughout the rest of this video. To start, we're going to look at 3/4, 3 over 4, times 1/2, 1 over 2. In order to multiply fractions, we're going to take the two top numbers, the numerator values, and we're going to put those on top. So I'm going to write a fraction bar over here. I'm going to take the 3 and the 1, and I'm going to say 3 times 1 with the multiplication dot in between. We'll take the denominator values, the 4 and the 2, and we'll put them over here in the new denominator and write 4 times 2, again with that multiplication dot going in between. We then take the 3 times 1 on top and just say 3 times 1 is 3. And then on the denominator, 4 times 2 is 8. So what we see, the result that we're getting is that 3/4 times 1/2, or 3/4 of 1/2, is 3/8. And the rule that we use, that we want to use throughout the rest of the video, is that A over B times C over D is equal to A times C over B times D. All right, so in the video where we were talking about reducing fractions, they got into an argument over whether or not they liked pineapple on their pizza. Now, I'm hungry and I want to order a pizza. Do you want pineapple on the pizza?
No, I do not like pineapple on my pizza.
Well, I do want pineapple on my pizza. What are we going to do about this?
Well, you're going to have to figure out how much of the pizza you're going to eat. See ya.
Okay. Okay, so I've got half of my pizza here, and I want to eat 3/4 of it. So I'm going to take that half and I'm going to cut it into 4 equal slices, and then I'm going to select 3 of those to put in my belly, right? Now, if I zoom out and look at the entire pie, then we realize if we want to keep the same size slices, that the pizza's cut into 8 parts, and I'm eating 3 of them. What this tells us is that 3/4 of 1/2, or 3/4 times 1/2, is equivalent to 3/8 of the whole pizza. And that's exactly what we saw in that previous example where we multiplied 3/4 times 1/2. And that's how multiplication works with fractions. And now we're going to bring Greta back in, and she's going to show us another example.
Thanks, Noah. Let's try another example. In this case, we're going to be multiplying 3/4 times 2/5. Now first, I want to combine these fractions into a single fraction by multiplying the numerators and the denominators. 3 times 2 is equivalent to 6, and 4 times 5 is equivalent to 20. Now, I can reduce this fraction by dividing both the numerator and denominator by a shared factor, in this case 2. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, and 20 divided by 2 is equal to 10. So 3/4 times 2/5 equals 3/10. For more review on how to reduce fractions, please check out one of our previous videos. Next, Noah's going to introduce an alternate process for reducing fractions.
All right, so Greta showed us that sometimes when we multiply first and follow our rule here, that you end up with something that can be reduced. Sometimes we see big numbers in our fractions that lead us to want to take on this different strategy of trying to reduce first. We're going to look at 10/9 times 15 over 4 and apply this idea of looking at the top and bottom of these fractions to see if there's any common factor that we can divide out of each before doing that multiplication. So we see here the 10 and 4, one's on top, one's on bottom. Both share a factor of 2, so we can divide out a 2 from each of these. And at the same time, the 9 and the 15, one's on top, one's on bottom. They're in different positions, but that's OK. They share a common factor of 3. So we're going to divide by 3, divide a 3 out of each of those. This is then going to give us 2 new fractions. The 10 divided by the 2 is going to give us a 5. The 15 divided by 3 gives us a 5 again. The 9 divided by 3 is equal to 3. And finally, the 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. And now that we've done this reduction first, we're going to go ahead and follow our multiply the tops together, multiply the bottoms together rule. 5 times 5 is 25, and 3 times 2 is 6. We'll then look at this fraction and just double check, is there anything else that can be reduced? 25 and 6 don't share any common factors, so we're actually done here. And this is our new strategy. We're going to reduce first before doing that multiplication. Always top and bottom before multiplying.
Now we're going to do a challenge problem where we multiply 3 different fractions together. And because it's more likely that numbers will blow up when I have more fractions, I want to definitely use the reduce first method. So the fractions that we're going to multiply together are 5/9 times 6/25 times 15/8. Now, I want to be strategic when I'm choosing which of my top and bottom numbers that I'm going to find a common factor for. I know that 5 and 25 both share a common factor of 5. And I also know that 6 and 9 share a common factor of 3. But if I were to reduce 6 and 9 by a factor of 3, I couldn't find a common factor between the 15 and the 8. But if I were to choose to reduce 15 and 9 by a factor of 3, then I could pair up 6 and 8. So it's helpful to think about how we can pair up our top and bottom numbers so that we can reduce more overall. And if I divide 6 and 8 by a factor of 2, now I'll have my 3 fractions with much smaller numbers. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 25 divided by 5 is 5, 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So I still have 3 fractions, but the numbers are much smaller and easier to work with. And if I wanted to, I could probably just combine them all right now and reduce further if needed. But because these are already laid out so easy for me to see, I'm going to continue the reduce first method. For example, 3 and 3 can both be divided by 3. And 5 and 5 both share a factor of 5. So if I repeat that method again, my 1 is here from before. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1 right here, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then here I have 5 divided by 5 is 1, and my 4 is from before. Now I have the smallest numbers, and I can finally combine into one single fraction. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 times 4 is 4. So from starting with these 3 larger fractions, 5/9, 6/25 times 15/8 equals 1/4. Thanks everyone. We made it to the end of the video. We hope you found it helpful.
Keep calm and math on.